What up, what up, what up, New York Giant Nation? It is your boy, Mac the Giants fan. Got my guy, Adam Costas, right here. Y'all know what time it is. It's the true blue aftermath, the 3-1 edition, baby. Let's go!
You want to be great, you got to work at it, right?
Play action again. More good ball handling from Jones. Room to run. There goes Daniel Jones. Touchdown, Giants. Key block at the end from Tanner Hudson. 21 yards and a first half touchdown for New York.
That is right, y'all. Y'all see it. 3-1 New York football Giants after 4 weeks of football. When's the last time we've been able to say that? Been so damn long I can't even remember.
2009.
Long time ago right there since we've seen a record like this in New York, man. A winning record through the first month of the season. A lot to be happy about, man. There's also some things we're going to have to bring up and bring to our attention, man, because, look, good team win. Happy for the win. Still got a lot of cleaning up to do, man. A lot of work to do, man. Adam, how are you feeling about the game, about the big win today?
I'm glad we got 3-1, but it's a game that we all expected that they should win, and this is what the announcer said that these kind of games would be, a grinded out type of game with teams that are 50-50, and that's what it was all day. This game shouldn't have been as close as it was, but the New York Giants always keep things close for whatever reason. I have no idea, but yeah, good job, 3-1. Here we go.
Yeah, absolutely, man. As you seen the top of the little intro, Daniel Jones highlight one of his 2 touchdown runs in the first half of this game today. I mean, he did a lot with his legs. Now it's not so much with his arm, but
and then he's injured. Now he's injured. Typical hurt. Giants.
But we didn't need much of his arm today, honestly, because the running game had the running game going, man, on all cylinders. Saquon Barkley, man, had another big day leading the league and rushing right now. It's just right now. I mean, number 26 is the glue. He's the real glue holding this thing together right now, man. He's the one that's keeping our heads above the water right now.
Let's keep it real. He did have a solid game, but if we were playing a defense that was better, we might be in trouble. But thankfully, we played the Chicago Bears. Their passing defense wasn't bad. They were 9th coming in. Their rush defense was 30th. And as you can see, they gave up over 200 yards rushing, which is what you need to do. The Giants played right into their strength. The bootleg. Let's see. If the bootleg wasn't a thing last week, it's definitely going to be a thing this week. As we see the Green Bay Packers are struggling, but they want. We'll see what happens next week, man. Will Daniel be able to run these things? I mean, he's injured. This is typical Daniel Jones, though. Injuries happen again. I know people want to crown him and say, "Hey, great," but this has been his MO. And if he misses time again, that's another tick in the wrong direction for him. So you can't help injuries. But again, we've talked about a guy who's running quarterback. He's going to be put in harm's way. And that's what happened.
Well, let's talk about Daniel Jones and Justin Fields. Let's talk about these quarterbacks in this game a little bit. Because we were talking earlier on the phone. We had it before the game. We were talking on the phone. We were talking about – I was telling you how Justin Fields' passing numbers have been just absolutely terrible. and Daniel Jones hasn't been great, but they have been a little bit better than Justin Fields.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did a stat that he throws for 187 yards a game. Now it's going to be like 168 yards a game. I'm telling you, this coaching staff has done well with Daniel and things like that. But and then the opposite happened on the Chicago's end. They opened the playbook up and they start throwing the ball all over the yard. So,
but that's what I was going to say. I mean, today these look like these 2 stat lines. If you blindly, after watching the first 3 weeks of the season, and just blindly without knowing which players these stats were associated with, you would have thought they were flip flop because this is Daniel Jones on the day, 8 of 13 with 71 yards. That's pretty much what Justin Fields has been doing for the first few weeks of the season, as opposed to Justin Fields 11 for 22 for 174. That's basically what Daniel Jones has been doing through the first few weeks of the season. It's just like you can't with these 2 offenses, man.
I mean, the offenses. This has been 4 weeks, and this is what we're going to get, right? We lost Evan Neal with a neck injury. Don't know how big that's going to be. Right, he had his pads on.
He didn't look like he was a whole lot of discomfort on the sideline, but at the same time, whatever it was, he couldn't go back in the game. So that's
Right,
something to keep an eye on.
right, and
Series.
that's an injury that could perk up later on. The ankle thing I'm really worried about with Daniel because it looked bad, and I know that people say, "Oh, he went back in the game," but he did nothing. He literally moved left and right, and that's about
just
it.
handed the ball off a couple of
Right?
times.
He didn't drop
Couple
back.
times he just split out wide.
They didn't run him right. They didn't run him and do anything because they knew he can't do anything. He has no mobility, nor do they want to put him in harm's way. But we'll see, man. I mean, the offense was kind of interesting how they did it. Saquon Barkley, if we don't have Saquon Barkley, I'm telling you right now, extend him right now. Yeah. Jones after this game, again, to me, if he finished the game not injured, I'd maybe put a tick in the hum column, like maybe think about it. But again, he's injured again. We don't know. Again, we don't know the extent of the injury, and it doesn't get easier from here. It doesn't get easier from here on out with the two defenses that we're about to face. Don't let the Buffalo Ravens game fool you. That team's going to be tough game, even in MetLife Stadium. And then don't let Green Bay fool you, even though they, giving up some yards here. They're going to be a tough pass rush to deal with next week as well. That's what I'm worried about. Let's find out how bad it is. If he can't even throw, but we'll see. If he couldn't get back in the game, obviously it's a major injury.
I mean, yeah, and the fact that also backup quarterback Tyrod Taylor went down, that makes the whole situation even all that more problematic.
God.
Both our quarterbacks, both of our injury-prone quarterbacks get hurt in the same damn game. Both of them.
You can't make this up, Mac. Can't make it up, man. Can't make it up.
Can't make it up at all.
But this is what we're talking about. This is why I'm telling people is like, I know people love Daniel, but we can't win on 200 yards passing. We can't. I mean, his running game was good, but then they shut him down in the second half. They didn't do the same effectiveness. The Giants scored basically like another field goal or something like in the first half, or 2 field goals, something like that. So the defense did adjust. If they played a team that was competent, this could be a different game, right? The Bears, while they're 2-1, they're still trying to find their way as well. They're still a rebuilding team. So these games, and I know that people are talking about like Jacksonville. Like Jacksonville's 2-2. They just gave their best effort against the best team in the conference right now. Okay, we got Indianapolis who 50-50 game. You don't know which way that's going to go. I see a couple more like giant victories here.
It's a lot of games on the schedule you can look at like that. Like I said, Seattle's better than we thought they were going to be. Point blank period. Geno Smith is playing at a higher level than anybody would have thought. So those are the kind of games looked at earlier on. We're looking at the schedule thinking, no big deal. Giants going to win. Giants can get this. What's going on, Coach? Giants going to win this. But Seattle's better than we thought they were. Detroit's better than we probably thought they were. Jacksonville's better than we thought they were. So these are teams that are going to be issues down the line. I for one, I'm feeling good about what the direction this Giants team is going, what they're doing. I just wish we could stay healthy and stop getting all these injuries that just keep piling up on us. It's just ridiculous with this team and the injuries, man. I just love everything that they're doing. But it's just that every week somebody major's going down. Julian Love.
I didn't even see Evan Neal get hurt. What the hell happened to Evan Neal? I didn't even see him get hurt.
They never showed a replay or anything.
I'm just saying, like Julian, you're right. Julian Love's gone. Ward is in and out of the game. Galowinski is in and out of the game. I mean, who else is injured? Kenny Galladay is injured. His ego's injured. I mean, my God, nothing again from the receiving core. I don't want to hear.
I think he had one target today.
He did do a solid job, though, Adam, in the block. He did do a pretty solid job in the run blocking.
I don't pay you $72 million to block, okay? That's not what I'm doing. I can get that out of my other receivers. The other guy I don't want to hear about anymore.
Absolutely, Coach.
The other guy I don't want to hear about anymore is Darius Slayton. That's another guy I don't want to hear about anymore. Because I'm tired of talking about that guy. You got to make that catch. That guy didn't interfere with you that badly where the ball, oh my God, hit you in the spot. You can't, like me, if I were playing and I was in his position, if I went back to the coach and go, oh, he touched me, coach, I dropped the ball, he'd look at me like I had 4 heads. Like, what is your job on the field? It's to catch the ball through contact because you play that way. That's how you practice. They do this all the time. That's a routine catch for a big-time receiver when we needed him. Thankfully, it didn't come back to bite us. But, we'll see going forward what happens.
What'd you guys think about that game overall, though? Because I was on with Coach earlier doing the game. But what Adam and Mac, what'd you guys think about the Giants in that game so far? Like out of the way they played, you confident, not confident? Just like your overall
I mean,
feelings.
I mean, once again, they show a lot of heart, and that's what one thing this team has, what's going to keep us in most games this season. Team plays with a lot of heart, man. Where they lacking the talent, they're going to give you everything they got, man.
That's true.
Everything they got, man. And that's what I'm loving about this team. What I'm loving about the direction of this team right now. We're not ready to compete with the big boys yet. That's clear. We know that. We're going to be always outmatched against the big boys. But like I said, even those guys, like I said, we got the Green Bay Packers next week. That's obviously a step up in class from the Chicago Bears. A big step up in class. But you know what? I know we're going to go out there and give them everything we got, and they're going to see the best New York Giant team that we can show them. You know what I mean? And that's all we can ask for. You can't give more than what you can. You know, at this time, like Adam said, let's move on from the garbage, man. Look, Kenny Galladay, he's a joke. Let's move on from him, man. And Darius Slayton, like you said, you got bailed out with that pass interference call. You got to catch the football. You got to make plays when they're there to make, because I guess games against better competition, those are the kind of plays that come back to haunt you. But I'm very proud of this team, happy for the win, and I'm 3-1. It's 3-1 still, and it feels good. How's it going, Coach?
Yeah.
Everything is well. Definitely happy with the win, of course. You know, I'm more concerned with the injuries right now, especially at the quarterback spot. Tyrod right now, especially after what happened the last week and a half, to me, he's done at least 2 weeks. I'm not putting him out there. So it's, you know, if Daniel Jones doesn't go, Kenny had a great point. It's a possibility Davis Webb could be our starting quarterback next week. So
I was just talking about
if Davis Webb's our starting quarterback next week, I mean, the offense might go because he looked decent in the preseason, but again, against bigger competition, who knows? Listen, my take is defense played okay. They didn't play great. I mean, there were some passes that they gave up, but again,
breakdowns on third down, too many
right, like the guy
on third and long.
Like we said, with better look at this game right now. The Chicago Bears are like the Ravens, except the Ravens are a better team, right? They're going to have their quarterback run around and do some things and try to get guys downfield. We got to shore that up a little bit more. The pass rush was, while we got 3 sacks, at one point we weren't doing anything in the first quarter and a half. We couldn't sniff this guy out. And then in the second quarter, we didn't really do much. The Bears kind of, are the Bears offensively, kind of bogged down, but their defense came through. And we need bigger plays than that. Daniel Jones' injury is pretty big because, it looks like an ankle injury. And what has been his asset this year? It has been his legs. So if you're taking away something for next week, let's say he is limited in practice and limited to go against a defense that's, like you say, a step up in class, it's going to be hard to kind of play both Tyrod and or Daniel because, hey, I know Daniel wants to go, but long term, we may need him down the road to keep us in the playoff race, right? Not that you want to sacrifice a game. I'm just saying the health of your players is probably better in the long term. So we'll see what happens. As far as the passing game, terrible passing game. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's just the offensive line, if these guys can't get open, if it's the quarterback that can't read. I know that Darius Slayton had a pass, but geez, man, make a play. Do something. We need to can't be so tight all the time,
I mean, as far as the passing game, game, man, these receivers, man, they got to do a little more to help make plays for the quarterback too, man. I can't
David
put that
Sills.
all on Daniel Jones. David Sills had that big drop too, yeah. Darius Slayton had that big drop. Kenny Galladay, I don't.
That means we have no talent.
Uninvested. And I mean, Richie James, he's out there doing all he can. Daniel Bellinger does seem to be, showing a little more each and every week, and especially in the receiving game. Tanner Hudson made a nice catch earlier, but he also
but we're going to need to upgrade
he also had a big
stuff.
drop too. He also had a big drop as well, Hudson, the other tight end. So these guys got to start making plays for their quarterback because Daniel Jones, I can't. Overall, even though the pass numbers don't dictate that he had necessarily a great game, what he did with his legs and just he played clean. Daniel Jones didn't have any turnovers in this game. He overall still played well and was doing enough, keeping his team competing, keeping his team in there. Guys got to start making plays. Other people got to start making plays other than number 26. It comes down to that.
Well,
with this offense, man.
but that's all you got right now is 26. I mean, let's be honest. He's all world back right now. There's a stat where he's like leading the Giants in rushing in the first 4 games. He's a guy you need to extend right now. If you don't want this kid to leave, extend him right now. I don't want to hear this franchise thing, talk about a comp pick if he leaves. Just keep him, because no matter what you do, whether you keep Daniel or you get rid of him, right? You're going to need him to kind of be that equalizer on the field. So, for me, extend the guy. You don't get many good players.
How can you extend him when you don't have the money right now? Because if you extend him, that's going to push him into the 30 to 35 million range. And right now, this year, we're about 6.5 million.
Well, listen, these are semantics that we're talking about, because he paid the man. Whether that's extend him in season or pay him during the off season doesn't really matter. They're going to work on numbers, right? I mean, their agents are going to talk. So, if I'm Joe Shane, I'm negotiating right now. Hey, man, what do you want for this guy? Because, he's going to be the offense the next 2 or 3 weeks. As you get your guy healthy, as you get Daniel back, because listen, an ankle sprain, the way that he probably has, looks like it's probably going to be a week or 2 at least to kind of get him fully healthy, right?
It's a high ankle.
If it's a high ankle, it's probably going to be a lot longer than that.
If it was a high ankle, he wouldn't have been able to come back in there at all, I don't think. He would have been able to come back in there at all with a high ankle.
He can come back in, it's just he can't do much. He's pretty much
he couldn't.
I mean, just even walking on it, putting weight on it like that, I don't think he could have did that on a high ankle sprain, even that much. With a high ankle sprain. I remember Barkley when he did his, he couldn't even step his other foot down. He literally had to hobble off the field on the one leg.
Well, the thing is ankle sprain, you're going to need some time to heal for a week or 2, and you don't want to fall on it. I don't want him to be forced out there and him limping around against the pass rush like Green Bay. Because
I hear you there. I'm saying I'm just. Look at this. I want to look at this comment and go into this comment real quick. My man made Cutter Bang. Thanks for coming to the stream too, Cutter Bang. If you're new to the stream, new to the channel, man, I appreciate you. Try to subscribe, hit that thumbs up for us, man. But I'm not sure. I've liked Kafka's play calling so far at some points. I think I can count on one hand how many times he took deep shots, if I'm not mistaken. The problem with the deep shots is part of the problem is you got to have receivers that can catch the damn ball. The field also.
No. Darius Slayton twice. One, he showed no effort. The other one is a terrible effort, and then he made his last catch.
It's also a matter of having receivers that can get downfield. I mean, many of us have been crying for at least put Slayton out there, because, he can at least stretch the field and force the defense to get on their heels and open up their hips when you're taking the deep shots. And now the thing with Kafka with the passing game, because we can kill all the receivers, and it's rightfully so. My issue with Kafka is schemes. I've heard so many times that we don't have receivers. What do you do to scheme getting guys open? Because you can go throughout the years and look at several teams, even teams that have won Super Bowls, and they have not had top level receivers. And what do? They scheme guys open. We don't scheme guys open. We really don't. You don't work, a lot of smash route concepts, any high lows, things of that nature. It's, a lot of basic concepts. Now, is it because he just doesn't trust what we have? I'm wondering if that's what it is.
I think you might be right, Coach.
And if that's the case, and if Dable is just saying, do what you can to get us through the year, because after next year, there's going to be a heavy change, fine, I get it. I can understand that. But right now, Chicago does not have that many they don't have high-end receivers in my level. They might have second tier, but they don't have, top-end receivers that you would consider elite receivers. And they do a decent job. We looked at the scouting film, and in terms of schemes, they do a good job. It's just that Justin Fields is not an accurate quarterback. He's just not. So, and that goes back to what I look at with our offense right now. The biggest play schematically that we do well is when we do the split zone, where you stretch, run away, have the tight end come across to the back, the offense, slip into the flats. The defense, they'll either jump that, and then Jones can get downfield, or you can layer it having a backside over route where you can hit that coming across there, where like they showed in the first half, Galladay running straight down the field when he could have ran a post, and it was right there. So
Right, but
um,
let me ask you this though:
mhm,
if that's the route that is played on that, so you draw it up, right? We're all looking
mhm,
at the play sheet. You're doing the waggle out, and that's supposed to be his route. Then I understand what you're saying, but I can't be mad at Kenny Galladay on that play because if Kafka goes, this is a 9 route, just run the 9 route
exactly.
as scripted. I can't be
Mhm,
mad at him for doing that. Now, what that means is maybe you're right. The scheme needs to be better. Maybe you should say, hey, next time let's run you
mhm,
know, Galladay on that
mhm,
waggle. Because when we run waggles, when I played, you always had, like you said, a couple layers of people
mhm,
there, right? That he had a choice.
mhm,
Option 1, 2, and 3. The 3 was a deep wall. That was a prayer, right? But
mhm,
sometimes that opened up. You had the middle of the field, which was usually where the 15-yard range, right behind the marker. And then you had the one that's underneath, that's like the 5 to 6 yard range,
mhm,
where you dump it
mhm.
off. There was nobody in those plays when they ran the waggle. I don't know if that's miscommunication. I don't know if that's the lack of intelligence in the receiver room, because there are young guys. So who knows, man?
No, you're 1,000% correct, and that's where I look at the scheme. What are we doing schematically with our receivers? Because you're right, we don't have those type of receivers that let's be real, that put fear in the defense.
No.
That's where Slayton, with his speed, I mean, if you run some basic hammer or dagger routes, that's where one goes vertical and one either comes in or out, towards the sideline. Slayton can run the verticals just to clear it out. And that's where I'm talking about. That can
Right.
also set it
That's
up
his
for
best route.
that can set it up for Galladay. Even
Mm.
if a guy is on his hip, if he breaks inside or outside, if the ball is put in the right spot, it's going to be open. But we don't have that or I haven't seen that in our concepts.
You know what? You've brought up some good points because the last time when we did try to see that, I don't know if they're scared as well because they got offensive PI called 2 weeks in a row. So I don't know if they're scaling back those rub routes a little bit to try to say let's not get caught for this because they're going to be looking at it. So it could be one of those things where Kafka is trying to be like, listen, I'm not trying to stall a drive out. Tony gets a big play, 30 yards, and there's an offensive route because Shepard's gone, right? And mind
Mhm.
you, Shepard's out of the game, so that's another guy who is underneath who could run. You're right,
Exactly.
Coach. Our talent, Richie James. Look, he's an undrafted rookie undrafted player for a
Mhm.
reason. David Sills, probably nice job, but probably should be selling insurance right now. Okay, the next guy, Darius Slayton, is who he is. Tiger doesn't change his stripes. He hasn't even different play coach, different scheme, same result with this guy. So, and then the last is Kenny Galladay, who was like Mac was saying, your play is projecting of how this is functioning. If you don't want to be here, see ya, get off. And I wonder if maybe change it up. Maybe run a tight end route with this guy, Kenny Galladay, right? He can't play receiver anymore. How about you don't line him in line, but play like Evan Ingram or detach tight end with him, change up his game a little bit so you get a matchup on a linebacker or something like that. You know what I mean? Somebody that's smaller.
Mhm.
Try to get the advantage even more for this big bodied receiver. I don't know. I'm just trying to think outside the
No,
box.
I get
Yeah.
you, and you're 1,000% correct in terms of that. That goes into schemes. Trying to create mismatches with your receivers, like you said, getting a receiver on a linebacker or on a safety. Do we really trust our receivers? Is there concern also with the pass blocking? But there's things you can do with that. Like I said, with the hammer, with high lows. You don't always. There were so many times in the Dallas game they sent out three receivers. So you can't. You mean to tell me you can't layer certain things with that? Even if you send two, two on one side, one on the other, and have the other dragging where the front side is clearing out. It's just little things like that. That you do schematically. To help your players. Because yeah, I get it. We want all our players, our best players, to use their talents, but we don't have that at the wide receiver, and it always goes back to schematics. Someone put in the chat when they were talking about the Patriots. Exactly. When you think about the Patriots, their receivers we're not top end receivers in terms of talent. But what did they do? Tom Brady and they worked on their continuity, and they worked within the plays. And McDaniels played to their strengths, even if it wasn't elite. And to me, that's the biggest concern that I have with the offense. Yes, we have a rookie head coach. Yes, we have a rookie OC. We have a new scheme. I get all that, but it's still the NFL. There are certain concepts that should automatically be in every playbook across the NFL. They just might be different terminologies, but they're all the same. And I just don't understand what I'm seeing completely. There are some things that are good. Like I said, the split zone, I love it because of the way they execute it. But there are other things with Slayton. Even if he drops one deep pass, it goes back to the old saying: with a deep pass, as long as that receiver goes vertical, it just opens up the window. It just does. Even if he's not a great catcher of the ball, it just opens it up because a defensive back, it's kind of like that what's that movie where Stone Hands, the one play, you know what I'm talking about.
Unnecessary roughness.
Yeah, and what happened that one time, he caught the pass, and everybody said, "Oh, he caught the pass, right?" Well, that's what happens. I'm not saying I want that. Don't get me wrong, but it opens it up sometimes. It really does, and that's what you're looking for. And mind you, I'm not saying Slayton stone hands. That's not what I'm saying.
He's kind of like it, but
apparently Azeez Ojulari got hobbled up too. He got hurt too.
But how about what you call it? One more thing about with Kafka, the offense. You think he went back to the well a little once too often with that bootleg? Because that last bootleg we ran was the play that Daniel Jones got hurt on.
Yes.
Chicago started sniffing it out a little bit. In second half, they kind of showed they were sniffing it out a little bit. And he kind of still kept trying to force the issue and kind of still trying to keep going back to it anyway.
I disagree because we were killing them with it. You run the play until they stop it. It's unfortunate Daniel got hurt on the play. If his foot didn't get caught up, worst case scenario, he gets sacked. Then you adjust and say, okay, they made a play to stop it. But how often was he killing them with that play?
So he killed him the whole entire first half with it.
Exactly. So it's just that he got hurt on the play. So it's not that he ran it too much. He just got hurt. They made the right adjustment. They brought the cornerback or the nickel off the edge, and that's what they weren't doing previously. They did that, and they also slanted the defensive line, and they looped Roquan Smith to the weak side on that play a couple of times. So that was their adjustment. That's how they were going to attack it, and I get it. It's unfortunate Daniel got hurt on the play.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, Coach. I was just saying because in the first half, like you said, absolutely killing them with it. And like I'm also I agree. Like Novocaine, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep on, just keep on killing them with it. They're gonna let you keep killing them with it. But when they came out in second half with it, the first few times they ran it too. Chicago clearly showed that they were kind of, figuring it out a little bit. And it's like you just kind of keep trying to force the issue with it. And like you said, it's unfortunate. We wouldn't be talking about it really. Probably wouldn't even be a talking point if Daniel Jones didn't actually get hurt on the play. So
there's one thing that I was saying to Jeff that I was looking for, and it was the screens. And I don't think we ran a screen. And that's one thing that
just that one that Saquon Barkley turned into an amazing play.
Yeah. Yes.
That he broke that tackle in the backfield. He managed to pick up at least about 15, 20 yards on that play.
But that also goes to, the wide receivers. We don't run any bubbles. We don't run any smokes. I mean, look at the one that Dory, when they were playing off. They played off a couple of times. Just take the ball and throw it to the flat. Pick up 2 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards. Whatever.
This is the personnel we're dealt with right now. I mean, there's no white buffalo coming through that door.
Unless Tony and Robinson, I think, are the guys that they're going to try to open this offense up when they eventually get on the field. It's going to be Kadarius Toney. It's going to be Wan'Dale Robinson because those are the guys that can get open on some of those bubble screens and make something out of nothing because those are twitchy type wide receivers that are not great route runners but decent, but they can get open in quick spaces and make some of those big plays. So I think the offense
fast break receivers.
Well, that's exactly what they are. Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson are those fast break receivers, and they had that with Shep, but now with Shep gone, they really didn't have any of those guys. They had two big stiffs out there on the outside They're really run blockers, if anything, because that's what Galladay and Sills were mostly doing was run blocking. Richie James, like you guys said, he did an admirable job to do the most he could on that field. But, I mean, let's just be real. Richie James is who he is. He actually had that fumble earlier in the game, too. And, I mean, Marcus Johnson, was he even in the game at all? Did we even get a look at this guy? And at least Darius Slayton had opportunities to go deep before.
They're probably not going to give you too many opportunities. That guy just got signed off the practice squad. He doesn't know much.
No.
Well,
but again,
Jalen Smith's efforts defensively, he
was good. I like Jalen Smith.
I think he made Tate Crowder better. Tate Crowder
had a great game.
Tate Crowder had a good game, but when he had Micah McFadden in there, he was still missing tackles and he was out of his assignment. Once they started putting in Jalen Smith, his whole demeanor changed. It was like, all right, I got a guy that knows what he's doing. He's not going to be a young guy. I can go play free roam, right? Because I really do believe Jalen Smith short up the middle line. Like, you're not going to see it on the stat sheet, but on that blitz, right? He comes in, Tate Crowder's getting the sack. Why? Because they went after Jalen Smith as opposed to Tate Crowder. Now, that tells me, right, maybe Micah McFadden doesn't run that play. Maybe he gets, bogged down or something like that, and maybe Tate Crowder doesn't make that play. But I think because Jalen Smith comes in here and he has a voice. Remember, Blake Martinez was playing next to him, right? A guy who knew what he was doing every play, every which way, right? Now he has Austin Carlito, who doesn't even start the game with him, right? And then he's next to Micah McFadden, who's a rookie. So then you put in Jalen Smith, and the whole complexity of Tate Crowder changed, at least in my eyes.
Excellent point, Adam. I mean, I didn't even think about that. Then that just tells me that Tate Crowder is trying to do too much. He's not. He's trying to cover up for his teammates who are out there instead of just doing your job. And let whoever is out there with you, if they're screwing up, let them screw up, and let the coaches see it and see it on film. Yes, it may hurt the team, but you're also hurting yourself and the team even more. So, great point. I never even thought about that.
Not at all. That was a great point, Adam. But how about the defense today overall in general, man? They feel like they stepped up and made the plays when they needed to down the stretch, especially in the second half.
What did I say? What did I say, Jeff? I said the defense is playing like, well, you can make plays in the middle of the field. You're not scoring touchdowns.
You get the balls from the 20 to the 20, but when it gets to that red zone, you guys aren't getting that ball in the end zone. That's exactly what that defense did. They bogged down, and they kept that Bears offense out of the end zone. They were able to play pretty solid up the run, and they were not letting any of those wide receivers get open over on the outside. So the defense was like, you know what? You guys can run the ball up and down the field, but you guys are not getting in the end zone. You're settling for 3. That's exactly what happened in the entire game. We made the Bears settle for 3, and that's how we were able to get that win today. Because we did not let them punch in the end zone when we did.
And we've always complained about that in the past, that we're not scoring touchdowns. We're scoring kicking field goals and we lose. Well, guess what? We were on the flip side of that today. So kudos to the defense, for handling their business and doing what they needed to do to help win this game.
Dexter Lawrence had a good game today, too. Dexter Lawrence was getting constant pressure up the middle of the field. I believe he had a sack and a half. He was a monster in the middle of that defense.
And Thibodeau was sniffing kind of close today, man. So it's a matter of time before he gets his first one in the books, man. And then I think
he looks kind of unhealthy a little bit for me. That's just me. He looks a little unhealthy.
He does that brace. I'm telling you, I've had to play. I played with it before in the past. That takes away your aggressiveness and your speed and your explosiveness because you worry about it. And I get it. He just has to play through it. I mean, I know most fans don't want to hear that, but he does have to play you through that. He has to get used to it. And then from there, maybe they eventually down the road, they put a smaller brace on or even a sleeve. And then, from there, he becomes more explosive. But, I mean, it's his second game, too, so in the NFL. So
like I said, I wanted to see more production from him, and we got more production from him than we did Monday night. So.
And Dexter was great.
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence is a great addition to the defense. A guy that I really admire.
Martell's favorite guy too. Martell loves Dexter Lawrence. I
really admire him. I hope he's a long-term Giant here. We've had a lot of good D tackles that have walked. Cornelius Griffin. We had Lundval Joseph. Dalvin Tomlinson. Let's keep a guy around for a while, right? The guy is nothing but a yeoman on and off the field. He brings the heat. He's probably one of the best interior D tackles that we don't talk about because he's on the Giants, right?
He's a captain on the team too.
Right. I mean, he's a big cog. He's a real reason why this defense goes. And then when you bring back Leonard Williams, you'll see the run game kind of stifle a little bit more, and you'll see Jalen Smith probably have a better game when Leonard's in, right? So.
Absolutely.
And now you're seeing what Dexter really means to the team, because if you put those two there, like I said, sometimes you got to keep your guys who have done things well in their career have gone up, right? You see the ascension of guys. Like look at Dexter Lawrence from year 1, 2, and 3, 4. They even extended him. You'll probably see if he goes up and stays at this level, you might see him long term. That's why I say the difference between a lot of players that we already have here. I'm not going to get into another guy, but you got to see where I'm going with this. It's like we need to start keeping our guys around, so that helps you win, because now they're here with Daboll. They're here. We're building the culture. They have the Giants way. These are guys you want to see. At least I want to see him get extended. I like Sexy Dexy. So
I hope they extend him too. He's one of the first guys I would extend.
Well, how about number 22 here, Dory Jackson, man? He sticks his nose in there. He's been doing it all 4 weeks, man. He's really coming up there playing really physical, man, a lot more than people thought or have expected from him. And I think he's another big leader on this defense.
We need him.
Really helping to keep this thing together, man.
Mac, we need him. Our cornerback position is dropping like flies right now. Lots out.
Aaron Robinson made his
out.
return, and he's back out again. So, yeah.
Fabian Morneau was good. He played a solid job on the other side, opposite of Dory Jackson. I thought he did a really good job out there at cornerback, especially one of those deep plays where he knocked the ball away from, I think it was Equimania St. Brown or Dante Pettis. He did a pretty solid job there on the opposite of Dory Jackson. So maybe we need another veteran over there on the opposite side.
He played where the way the position is supposed to be when you're not looking back at the ball. You're playing the receiver, keeping your eyes on the receiver, getting close enough, not touching him. And then when the receiver puts his hands up, you watch his eyes and you watch his hands. And then you shoot your hands right in between his hands to knock the ball out. You know, back in the days, who was great at that? Deion Sanders. He was excellent at that. You know, and that's exactly the way you're supposed to. Too many DBs, they panic. You know, even Adoree on that deep play to what's his name?
Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, to Mooney. You know, he kind of panicked. You know, where you know what? You trust your speed, get to the receiver, get there, get even with him, don't touch him. You know, or at least, you know, your elbow, because that's the other technique that you do, is you let your elbow just kind of be there to stabilize, but not move the receiver. And then when his hands go up, your hands go up. And if you do that, I'm telling you, there should not be any receivers. I don't care if you're 6'6" and you're 5'10", unless that ball is that high up and you just can't catch up to him. But more than likely, most receivers that tall, they don't outjump you really. It's just you either outjump or you miss your timing. If you play the hands, you will 9 times out of 10 deflect the ball.
And if the guy catches it, then it's just a great play. It's like when a three-pointer when a shooter makes a three-pointer, right? And you have your hands in his face, and you know they just nail it. Sometimes they just nail it. That's just part of the game, right? But you play your defensive responsibility to a T, and there's nothing that the coach can say, "Hey, you didn't do your job. You did your job perfectly. That guy just made a better play." You know that sometimes that happens. That's why they get paid as well.
Are any of these injuries you guys concerned about? I mean, when I hear a neck injury, that gets me worried about Evan Neal. I do not.
I'm concerned about all of them. I mean, these guys went down. These guys went down and didn't come back in the game. So that is concerning.
Evan Neal scares me with the neck.
Evan Neal, Aaron Robinson, Julian Love.
Even the quarterback scares me.
Key players started both two quarterbacks. Like
our interior line is banged up.
Feliciano's got a leg injury. We have to rely on Matt Parrott to come back, because Matt Parrott is probably now there's something wrong with, and Nick Gates and Shane Lemieux. All three of those guys should be on the way back. So, I mean,
like I say to people, getting back in the game, you know, they're not like in training camp anymore. They're not. These guys have been rehabbing, and then you're going to tell them to train, which they're going to have one day of maybe possibly hitting, and then another day of uppers, and then two or three walkthrough days, right? And then you're telling them to go 100 miles an hour on Sunday. That changes the whole complexity, your body dynamic, your legs may not be ready for you. So you may still see some struggles out the gate from some of these guys. That's what you're seeing with Kayvon Thibodeau, right? They just wanted to unleash the horses out the starting line, out the starting block, but this is not horse racing. This is the NFL. Guys got to get used to it. They got to get leaned on. They got to get played against. They got to see if their moves work. Right, Kayvon Thibodeau hasn't done a real move against anybody. Right, he's practiced, got injured against, I forget what team, the Jets or something like that, and here we are. Right, so I as much as I want Lemieux back, I'm just concerned that you get a guy in there, you play a team like Green Bay, who's going to be bringing the heat. They're going to be seasoned, and you bring a guy who's raw. That could lead to some breakdowns as well.
Anybody want to take a shot at this one here?
Sure, I'll take a shot at it. And your point being, so what if they're gone? I mean, I'm thinking, y'all can kill me. I'm not thinking right now worrying about next year. I'm really not. I'm more focused on this year right now. What do we do and how do we progress? Next year we'll take care of next year, and then we'll deal with it come next year when it takes its place. I'm only on week 4. I can't think as a coach. Yeah. As a coach, I'm talking from experience. I can't think about next year. I can't think about even late in the season. That's a thing that fans do. I get it. But as a coach, Daniel Jones is my quarterback. That's what I'm worrying about right now. And Tyrod Taylor is my other quarterback. That's what I'm worrying about right now. After the season, I'll worry about it then and see what happens. Things can change, but what's to say for argument's sake?
Galladay got hurt. So Rich just says that Galladay got a knee injury. That's why he wasn't out.
Okay. Well, that means put him on IR and never see him again. He probably played his last down as a Giant.
Look what Hit Squad just that's our injury list for today. And they just said DJ just commented on his thing and he said my ankle hurts and he doesn't know if it's a high ankle sprain or not. So oh my God!
That's what I'm saying. It hurts.
This is frightening. This is frightening when you look at this.
That I've heard on a high ankle sprain you can do a lot of things. You just can't move laterally, right? So him standing there and clearly he'll have no push off the back, right? Because that's his foot that he plants with as well. So that's why we weren't seeing any passes. That's why I'm saying this game getting banged up here is big. Plus our quarterback who's brittle, Tyrod Taylor, who comes out. Now the thing that I saw with Tyrod Taylor that they did was the offense was a little bit more dynamic when he came in there in terms of trying to throw the ball downfield. Now I don't know if that's a veteran. And they're like, well, obviously look what the Slayton thing did, right? That looks essentially like a punt. It was a bad play by both quarterback and receiver, but guess what happened? It's a punt at the end of the day, right?
Quarterback, not receiver. Quarterback, not receiver. And go back and look at it.
What did I say?
You said quarterback and receiver. The quarterback did not put the ball to the outside. Slayton had position. If the ball's to the sideline, he at least makes a play on the ball. The defensive back does not intercept the ball because he had the cornerback beat. That was strictly on Tyrod Taylor. But again, Tyrod Taylor hasn't played all year, so
that's also Eddie Jackson as a safety. Let's be real. He's one of the top in the league.
He's inside. What I'm getting at, his leverage was to the inside. The ball should have been towards the sideline. If it's towards the sideline, then he doesn't make the interception. Maybe Slayton makes a play. Maybe Slayton drops the ball.
Worst it goes is out of bounds.
Exactly. So
I guess what I'm saying is to me that interception's not as bad as one that's closer because at the end of the day, take a chance. Sometimes this happens. The ball doesn't get placed. You know what I mean? We just had him go downfield. They want to try to go downfield again. Now, again, he comes off cold turkey and throws a bomb across his body to Slayton, and then you have Eddie Jackson who's in prime position to make the play, and then what happens? But at least the chance was there, right? Yeah. Now, was it the chance you wanted? No, but at the end of the day, your defense is playing well. That's a shot you take. That's a shot that a lot of teams take in the NFL. And if that happens and their defense is playing well, here we go.
Exactly.
So my only concern really with the offense is if Daniel can't go and you can't go with Tyrod, what is that going to do with Davis Webb? Because he doesn't have the same
Barkley.
Running
it's gonna be a heavy dose of Saquon Barkley. That's all it's going to be. It's going to be a heavy dose of Saquon.
The only difference with him is he's actually a better passer than those two. Now he's not mobile, yes. So he's more of a pocket passer and move and all of that type of stuff in terms of the quarterback play. So he's not the type to, do the RPOs and the quarterback reads and the sprint actions and the waggles. That part, yes, it takes away the dynamic aspects there. But
KT quarterback.
Oh, he would have been playing quarterback if
He would've.
if he was active today. He would have been today. He would have absolutely. They would have put him out
True.
there.
Saquon was our quarterback to end the game. That's what it was. Saquon Barkley was Saquon. What the hell did Saquon Barkley not do today? He did it all. Running the football, quarterback the football, running to the outside, playing the slot. Saquon Barkley was like a one-man wrecking crew on that offense.
Well, he changes the game, right? When he's healthy, that allows Jones to do these plays, right? Like, so that's why I'm saying, like, I don't necessarily say you need to change the quarterback, but if you do get a dynamic runner with him, it's going to be hard to stop when those two guys get going.
Yes.
Daniel, I think he can run. He has some athletic ability, but I don't think for me he's the most dynamic runner. But you can run these RPOs, and he does a smart job of getting here and there and making plays. But I don't want to do them all the time because you saw what happens when you do it a little too much. And that's that's something that's going to happen. It's unfortunate if he gets sacked. We're not talking about the injury, but again, he gets injured. This is his MO. Unfortunately, this is what happens, and I'm a little worried that if it is a high ankle sprain, he might have to play through it, or play with it, or it might limit his effectiveness.
Depends on how bad that is. I remember trying to play with one my freshman year in college. I'm telling you, sometimes the pain is so intense it shoots up your leg. So it depends on how bad of an ankle sprain. I mean, I don't want to say high or low right now. So,
that's what I mean. Like, I'm no medical expert,
yeah.
But like just watching him on the sideline after it happened, when it was actually out of he was ready to come right back into the game. He was over there still running down the sideline. Obviously, the trainers, coaches weren't satisfied, but I just feel like.
You see the wrap they put on his.
He just wouldn't have been doing that.
Might have been
He wouldn't have
adrenaline,
been doing that.
You see the wrap they put on his leg, though, man. You knew he wasn't.
I did see that. That's what I said. There's no way he's going back in there. They wrapping his leg up like that. I said that.
Right, but they put him in there, and he was a statue. It was. I mean, listen, he wouldn't have played the game if Tyrod Taylor gets injured. It's a different point. He's not even playing. But the fact of the matter is, they didn't even do any passes when he came back into the game. When Taylor came into the game, they were still throwing the ball all over the yard, still trying to make plays. So if he can't throw, right, and we'll find out more as the week goes, because these sprains only get worse as you come down from these games, right? That's when
you have to hope that the swelling's not there too.
Right. And he already says it hurts on the podium, so I'm sure they're going to try to do everything to not have him leave in a boot, because if he leaves in a boot, God, the whole world, Twitter will burn down, if they see him with a boot. But he's your quarterback, and you got to figure out if it's worth putting him out there against Green Bay. Like remember, he had an ankle injury, hamstring injury, came back against Arizona. And we got absolutely annihilated against Arizona because he couldn't move, couldn't do anything. And, they were trying to push for the playoffs, right? If you're playing Green Bay, who's right now defense is running all over the field and making New England, who they just knocked out New England's quarterback.
Yeah,
I would say, I would say, Daniel, get healthy, because we have some teams that like the Jaguars and some teams like Detroit and Houston that we're going to need you for. So, let's get some guys healthy before we put you back there.
Right,
no, we are not taking a chance on Cam. No.
Did you see Cam Newton when he went back to Carolina last year? Did you see him? He's just
washed.
not. He's not the guy anymore.
He's washed.
He's washed. No way in the world.
He's washed. He can't throw a ball. His shoulder shot. It's unfortunate, but that's it. Cam Newton get into fashion, take a fashion line, and just
trading for Teddy Bridgewater. We are not trading for Teddy Bridgewater.
Miami is not just going to get rid of Teddy Bridgewater, especially now.
But we don't even know how bad. We don't even know how bad his injury is. Which again, Daniel misses season. That's another part of those things that we talk about in a durability quarterback. Again, it's unfortunate, but that's what happens sometimes. And my thing is this: you had Tyrod Taylor, who did the exact same thing. Mac just said it. We had an injury-prone quarterback and signed another injury-prone quarterback, and they both got out of the same game. It's kind of ironic to see that.
That's crazy.
Next year, like I said, next week, evaluate your injuries, because you got a laundry list of injuries. Some of them aren't going to go away next week.
MRI machine's going to be busy this week, guys.
For what it's worth, with Tyrod's injury, the commentator, I believe, Daryl Johnson, Moose, as a matter of fact, said it best, man. Like, Tyrod, you got to be a little smart. I know you want to make a play for your team,
That was
But you're the backup. You're the backup quarterback. You know there's no other quarterback active on the roster. Your starting quarterback is already out. It's supposed to be out for the rest of the game. You just can't go sacrificing yourself
We'll
like
see,
that.
though.
I mean,
We'll see. I mean, concussion protocol, the Tua stuff, and everything like that. We'll see what happens this week because that's going to be a big thing with the NFL and the Players Association. Anybody that gets any type of dinged up is going to be evaluated. Take the long road there. So, hopefully it's nothing major with Tyrod. I'm not going to risk him again, but if he clears protocol and does whatever, let's see what happens. Because to me, like I said, if Daniel has a high ankle sprain, which again, I don't know what it is, but these things happen. It's going to do two things. Either it's going to linger with him all year if you play him, but you could also, can't necessarily make it worse, but you can, it'd be painful to get him beat up all the time running, right? Doing that. So if you think you can sacrifice, I hate to say sacrifice because it's a word thing, but if you think, you think he's going to be better in a few weeks when you're getting some more linemen healthy, maybe you choose to kind of start Davis Webb this week and say, listen, Daniel, we need you for the long haul or whatever it is for the rest of this year. We can't throw you in there against Green Bay because that's the last thing I want to do to this kid. People know that I'm not a fan of Daniel Jones. He's already proven to me he's gotten injured already, but I'm not going to risk him doing that because the Giants have done that in the past to this kid. Arizona, when in 2020 comes to mind, where, again, they rushed him back and boom, had a horrible game.
I'm going to read something to you guys, and this is from Spotrac.com. And these are the available quarterbacks. Ryan Fitzpatrick, age 39. Cam Newton, age 32. Tim Boyle, age 27. Mike Lennon, age 32. A.J. McCarron, age 31. Johnson, age 35. Jacob Eason, 24. Jeff Driscoll, 28. Brett Hundley, 28. I'm going to stop right there. Those are the top.
Please do, Coach.
Top quarterbacks. There are others that are down there. They're probably also on practice squads. But my point being is, right now, you have to roll with what you have. And if you want to take a chance on one of those as an emergency backup, then you go in and you consider it. But do they also fit what they're trying to do offensively? You can't just throw somebody out there just because. Davis Webb, for everyone saying they don't want him, he knows the system. He knows the system. He would be much more efficient than a Cam Newton coming in cold and who doesn't know the system, doesn't know the receivers, even though they're so as bad as they are. They just don't know. Trade for Cooper Rush.
No, we don't know. Stop it. Almighty, stop with the trades already. Please stop.
No.
Stop, please.
What?
Go ahead.
I don't understand that logic of trading for Cooper Rush. What are you doing? Like, this is what I'm saying. I know people hate Davis Webb. Okay, fine. He stunk. Get over it. But he's all we got. And the Giants are not. Look what they do with the receiving core. They didn't bring anybody in. There's Will Fuller out there. There's a couple guys out there not bringing anybody in. They know what they've got. They've got a bereft of talent. They're going to keep rolling with these guys. They're going to keep rolling with them.
No, I'm still.
For what it's worth, too, whether how you feel about it or not, look, Davis Webb next week currently has, as we stand right now, with the health of Tyrod Taylor and Daniel Jones up in the air, Davis Webb would probably be our best option for at least next week. I mean, it is what it is. That's just the truth. He was the team the entire summer, training camp, all off season. I mean, look, that would be our best option at least for next week. Going into next week's game, see how he does if he can hold it down. If not, then you have to start maybe thinking about maybe making a couple more desperate moves.
Well,
or something.
It depends on how long Daniel's out for, because like they said, if it still hurts when he was in there doing nothing, calling plays, right? He's standing there saying it hurts. Well, guess what? Maybe he does have an high ankle sprain, but because there was nobody to play quarterback, and they say, hey, you're standing up on the sideline anyways. Here you go. So if he's out 2 to 3 weeks. 4 weeks or whatever like that, you may want to bring somebody in, but don't. I don't care. Just play with the guys. I don't care if Davis Webb loses the game for us. That's who you got. That's what happens when you have injuries in the field. And like Coach just read. None of these guys are going to come in and do anything. They don't know the playbook. They've got to learn the playbook. So what are you going to do? You're going to get a Jake Fromm or a dude who doesn't know anything about your playbook and then put him in there and say, here you go, kid. Good luck. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, you got a guy at Davis Webb who's been in the system for 3.5 years. You know, he was up in Buffalo for a couple of years, and now he's in the system now. They kept him around for just this very reason because they knew, there's a slight chance we might lose both these guys. Let's keep a guy around, that knows the
Higher than a
system.
slight.
Okay, fine.
The Evan Neal one scares me the most, though, because when you hear neck injury, that injury makes me nervous, because especially with the offensive lineman, with the pounding they take from the defensive line, you don't ever want to hear about an offensive lineman getting a neck injury. So that injury out of all of them scares me the most, even more than
it's a
Daniel Jones
shame
one.
with Evan Neal, too, because I know he wasn't going against DeMarcus Lawrence and Michael Parsons again this week, but at the same time, he was really having a really nice bounce-back game. He was out there playing well. His pass protecting was really well. He was doing a good job out there, and it was unfortunate. And almost the offensive line did regress a little bit after he was out.
Even
Devery
Moose said something
Hamilton
about
at
it.
right tackle.
Even Moose said it. He's like, they weren't flying off the ball the same way. One guy can change that, man. I mean, it's unfortunate. Like I said, the quarterback gets much maligned, and I'm one of the guys who has jumped off his bandwagon. I will agree with that. But when you have injuries that happen all the time to this team, it's like a curse with this team, right? Every time we have something that goes well, in the middle of the year, we have guys getting nicked up and banged up and not finishing the year, and it kind of derails us going forward because we can never get a true evaluation of this guy or that guy, and we're always constantly doing musical chairs. Now, I will say this coaching staff is a lot better than the last two previous ones that we have, because they're getting these guys who have Band-Aids, basically Band-Aid type stopgap players to play well. Fabian Moreau, right? That guy who made the play, 37. He's not great. He wasn't great at all. But you know what he did? He listened to what the coach told him to do. He trusted in what the coaches told him, and that's why he made the play against Dante Pettis, because he was like, you know what? Let me just do my job. Let me just follow my technique, and the rest shall come to me. Exactly the way it happened, right? So that's what I'm liking. Maybe with Joe Judge and those coaching staff, that guy doesn't make that play because either he's too scared, or he's worried about the pass interference, or he's just not trusting what he's seeing. This guy comes in and does as well. So that's why I like this coaching staff. That's why I'm not worried about what they're doing with the quarterback. They'll I hate to use this word, scheme it up to make it work for Davis Webb, right? Obviously, he's not going to be the runner that Daniel is. So maybe we'll put in 2 tight ends to help protect for when we do passing game stuff, right? So I trust these guys to get it done. Brian Dable has showed me he's the guy for the job, and they're working through the kinks right now.
I got an injury update on the guys. Aaron Robinson apparently had a heavy wrap on his right knee leg in the post-game locker room, so he's probably going to miss some time. And Evan Neal talked with the media, and he says he's not sure how severe the neck injury is going to be. He says he's going to be okay, but they're not sure if they're going to have some further details or further testing on him. I expect him to probably
get a look at. When it's a neck, you got to get the test.
Well, look at Daniel Jones, though, right? He had a neck injury, but still walked around, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's going to come back. He's going to come back 6 weeks later." He never showed up, right? So, I don't want to, and especially a bigger guy that does more than Daniel, right? The guy bashes his head against another human being for 3 hours. You don't want to risk that guy, especially new young guy. Again, these are the type of things you got to think about. Listen, let him rest. We'll work it out. We'll get what guys go. We'll get through it. Again, this season's not about winning.
Well, as far as Aaron Robinson goes, I just got this feeling that he's dealing with pretty much the same thing Kayvon was dealing with Leonard Williams, that like a sprain MCL type of deal, man. It just kind of seems like that's something like that was what he's dealing with right now.
Yeah,
and, it's just these injuries, man. Like it's no matter. It's like we're already undermanned, as I feel like with the talent. We're already kind of from a talent standpoint behind the 8 ball a little bit, and then we just can't keep affording to lose guys week in and week out, man. It's just,
but guess what,
it's just devastating to this team.
I know it's devastating. I know it's frustrating, but at the start of the season, if you had said after the first 4 games you would have been 3-1, and you were competing in all 4 games, actually. How many of us would have taken that? Every last one of us is Giants fans.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not complaining.
It's not doom and gloom. That's all I'm getting at.
No.
And like you said, Adam, you trust the coaching staff and management, what they're doing. And they're taking some guys who are off the trash heap and they're getting them to produce for. I'm not saying at a high end, but they're getting them to produce. So let's continue to trust them. Let's see what happens going into Green Bay. And let's hope for the best right now. Let's hope that they put in a good, sound game plan. Kafka can step his game up a little bit, but we're effective and we're efficient. I mean, Wink, for everything that we complain about in between the 20s, come in, when they get into that money zone, they shut it down. They shut it down for the most
Best
part.
team in the NFL right now when it comes to defense
And-
inside the red zone. The Giants are the best defense.
And that speaks volumes. That just tells me teams are only beating us or they're getting most of their plays through explosive plays. And that's not consistent in any level of football. I mean, I don't care if you're high school or college, you can't consistently score through explosive plays because once teams adjust and they shut you down, then what are you going to do? You're going to be kicking field goals while they're going and scoring touchdowns. So, I'm not saying you are like that, Adam, completely. I'm just saying because I see a lot of, and I'm reading it right now, where one person just said we need to fire Shane and Dable right now because they're getting the players all hurt up.
Oh,
I mean,
Seriously?
really?
They're getting the players hurt up?
What
Oh,
moron? No, sorry.
okay.
I shouldn't say
My
moron.
God.
What guy said that? Person said that because they should be fired as a fan. Okay, for that atrocity that you just said.
What's up,
Yeah,
Alex?
I'm kidding.
That's
Like,
my
what's
point.
going on, Alex?
It's sometimes it drives me. It does. It drives me crazy. It's like I mean, be a fan, be supportive. Speak your
Twitter, right?
Yeah, basically.
Of
You know where I'm
course.
at most times.
Of
Of
course.
course.
Yeah, you'd expect.
No, I mean,
Well,
there's a Facebook group.
Fire the coach. We're 3-1, but fire
Exactly.
everybody. Get
Like,
the
see,
hell out of here.
listen. I fired the coach last time, but we were going 4-13. Okay, we're 3-1 right now. I think Brian Dable and company is doing a good job with what they have. Meaning that they're probably the worst talented roster in the league, right? At the receiver position, at least, right? Offensive line, there's a lot to be desired there. We can go down the roster. Quarterback, the only plus player they have on offense is Barkley. That's the only plus guy that you're like, man, the Giants have an advantage every game they go into, right?
And that's
Not every
my-
game that they. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Adam. I'm sorry.
Not every game they're going to be plus at receiver, right? Not every game they're going to do that, So that's why I'm saying, like, why are we complaining about this when this guy is making chicken soup out of chicken shit, right? I mean, Richie James, you just said these guys are not that good, but they're doing their job enough to warrant whatever the coaching staff is doing. So give the guy a chance. My God, fire
Let's
him.
just say number 19, Mac's favorite player that he loves so much. Number 19, 2 catches for 22 yards in 4 games. And apparently now he's hurt with a knee injury.
Terrible.
Let's just say that right now. Sterling Shepard, we all love him. Out for the season. Never could stay healthy. Kadarius Toney, another guy. Never could stay healthy. Daniel Jones. Actually, he's been playing pretty decent the past couple of games. He can't stay healthy. He's hurt now. It's like a story with this team. Even when we win these games and we're all happy right now that we're 3-1.
Kadarius Toney injured.
The injury issues is a concern with this team. I don't know what this feels like. The game a few years ago against San Diego when we had lost 8,000 people during that game, especially at the wide receiver position. But at least this time we won. But it's like we can't fully enjoy the victory because half our team right now is going to be getting the MRI checked out there to figure out what the hell is wrong with them. They're all on the sidelines now hurt. We're going to have to go on the practice squad, picking up a bunch of guys from the practice squad to put as our 53-man roster because they keep all dropping like flies out there on the field.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy day in the training room tomorrow. That is for sure. But, yeah, this defense, another thing about this defense, I mean, they had 6 sacks today. And I'm like, that was an impressive performance because that did come into this game. They only had maybe 1 in each game or something like that, I feel like. So they definitely stepped up big time there, getting home a little bit, getting that pressure on Justin Fields, forcing some errant throws.
Aziz did a good job, too. He had a nice job on the outside before he got hurt.
Like I said, they were bringing that pressure. That's what I was saying last week on Monday. We were lacking. They weren't even getting any pressure at all. This week they were getting that pressure. Like I said, forcing a lot of bad throws for Justin Fields. You know, so it was impressive. Definitely a bounce back performance from Monday night, from what we saw on Monday Night Football for the entire team overall. Just the entire team performance, man. This was a good team victory. Like I said, it took every effort from everybody, from every athlete. Even special teams made a big play down the stretch when we needed it, big time. You know what I mean? So I just got to give hats off to the whole damn team, man. It was just a good team victory.
Exactly.
Saquon Barkley, man, that guy is
I like it.
man.
Yeah, I like that guy, number 26, man.
See, number 26. I mean,
everybody wanted to trade and
Great
get rid
number.
of, and call him a bust and say, why would you waste a draft pick on?
But like I
Saquon
said,
Barkley?
he's a guy that if you decide, because again, Daniel Jones got injured again, that's his MO. We talked about it. If he's injured and he has to be replaced, that if he has to miss any time, I would put him in there. So a guy like Barkley, to me, I'm making sure he's part of my team going forward because the franchise takes a lot less for a running back than it is a quarterback. That's one. Two, if you're going to bring in a new guy, you're going to want to have a guy that is explosive, that teams are going to have to actually play, right? And actually game plan for. You know what I mean? So to me, like Barkley right now is safe, unless they decide they want to trade him because the season, now that Daniel Jones is out, let's say he's out for 3 games and, it's looking kind of grim. Who knows? I'm not saying I don't want to trade him. I'm just saying I would rather keep him because of the lower cap value. It means I can sign more people. I don't have to like $30 million invested in the quarterback because if I'm Daniel, that's what he's going to ask for. Let's be honest. Because he's
finesse.
We're not signing T.Y. Hilton. Stop it.
You want to bring another injury-prone wide receiver into this receiver room? Another guy that gets hurt, that just trips over a blade of grass and tears his knee up? You want to bring another guy like that into this receiver room? Seriously? Like, these guys just don't have.
But these guys, but like Coach said, you still need to learn the terminology, get on the same page with the quarterback, who, by the way, who may not be playing in the next couple games. So you're bringing in a guy for what, Davis Webb to get finesse with? Like, come on, man. Like, we got to think they're not riding with anybody else. They're just going to go with the team that they have. Maybe bring a guy up from the practice squad because he's already in here. That may not be the sexy move that everybody wants, but we're a team that has no cap space to do anything. We're barely holding on to cap space as it is now. We have a ton of injuries. Yeah. Who knows how long these guys are going to be out because they're all probably going to be staggered, meaning you may have to bring guys up and down. They just lost that guy. It looked like they lost a D tackle, number 96, or I think that's whoever that guy
was. Yeah.
Who was the guy that everybody was all bent out of shape during when we cut him at the end at the final cuts? The wide receiver, everybody.
Alex Bachman.
Alex Bachman, yeah. Hell, just bring him back at this point. You might as well.
We need it. We have no receivers left. They're all getting hurt.
Listen. I'm going to say this, okay? Jeff, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, okay? Number one, I just looked, again, to double check with all the recent maneuvers that we had. Last week, we were a little bit over $6 million. We're down to $5.5 million in terms of cap space, okay? I even see some people say cut Kenny Golladay. First and foremost, if you cut Golladay, he has a dead cap hit of $31 million.
Thanks, Gettleman.
Let me say that again. $31 million. Next year, it's $21 million if it's after the season. So think about that. Right now, Shane is trying his best not to blow what little bit of cap space we have, which is relatively in the middle of the pack in the league, but he's just nickel and diming it right now with guys. You can't cut him. Now, if you want to say you want to sit him on the bench and don't play him, cool. I'm fine with that. You want to make him inactive, okay, I'm cool with that. We got to let that go, number one. I think trading him, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to cost us, if we trade him, and I'm looking for at Sprotrack.com for those of you who are wondering. It says a pre-release, a pre-trade, and this is as of June the 1st. And then after June the 1st, 2022, he has a dead cap hit of $21 million. And if you trade him for 2022, it's $8 million. So your best bet is to wait till after the season. So, and that I'm looking at the numbers right now in terms of his contract breakdown. So again, Gettleman, the gift that keeps giving.
Oh yeah, he's
So,
a great gift.
and as far as the money on the cap, we are strapped. We really are. You can't do anything. What's up, Tudo? You
Trudeau.
really can't do anything right now until at best after the season. Bringing guys at, for the minimum. You said T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton is not going to want to come here for no veteran minimum. He's going to try and want to get as much money as he can because he knows he's on his last leg. He's a veteran guy. He's going to want, $3, $4, $5 million. I mean, and why wouldn't he? He's played and he feels he deserves it. So right now, we got to go with these low-end, bottom of the barrel receivers, which is what we have right now, except for Galladay.
Remember, the free agency is a two-way street, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to work for both parties. It can't just be like Madden, where look at the list of guys they got. I'm just going to sign this player off the street, right? It's not Madden. It's true. I mean,
this is real life. It's real life.
Exactly.
That's what people say. They're like, let me get T.Y. Hilton. What is T.Y. Hilton? Does he want to come here in the middle of this season when he knows that we may not go anywhere? Maybe he wants to go to Kansas City and win a ring, or do something like that, where a team that's bigger, that's going to be a little bit more desperate, is going to pay him more money.
Guys like him want to go somewhere where they got a legit chance to win now.
Exactly.
They don't have that much time left in their career to want to be.
You want to say Will Fuller?
Part of a rebuild.
Okay, fine. That guy's desperate because he gets injured everywhere he goes. But again, he might be thinking the same thing as T.Y. Hilton. I can play in this league. I produced in this league. Why do I have to settle for the Giants, who have no quarterback at the moment? Because he might be injured for the next 2 weeks or so. So again, how is that going to help him, right?
We signed Will Fuller. He'll probably get hurt in the first game he plays.
No, I'm just saying. That, I mean, it would be par for the course though for this team. We have a bunch of.
How the hell did Kenny Galladay get hurt? He was barely even out there the entire time.
His ego's hurt. That's what happened. His ego got hurt.
His pride got hurt. How did he hurt his knee? What the hell did he do? Did somebody hit him in the knee?
He heard that Tanya Harding came out of nowhere and hit him with a bat.
Clubbed him in the knee.
He definitely didn't get tackled because he never caught the ball to get tackled. So.
His jersey was clean, Mac. It was all.
Hey, but guys, he blocks.
Blue and red.
Guys, he blocks though. He blocks, guys. He blocks.
He was blocking. I ain't gonna lie. He was blocking hard as shit on a couple of those plays.
But did you sign him to be a tight end or did you sign him to be a big body wide receiver? Because to me right now, Colin Johnson is unfortunate that he got hurt because I would love to see what he would be doing right now. Because to me, I don't think Kenny Galladay wouldn't be playing if we had healthy wide receivers that could do something. Right? We have Wan'Dale Robinson right now hasn't gotten his career off to a great start. Kadarius Toney is everybody's punching bag every other week, right? He's injured, but then they pray for him to be in the game. Like, we need him in the game. He's a clown because he's injured. He never wins. You have Darius Slayton again, who's come in, and this is why we get frustrated with this guy. Week in and week out, we try to root for Darius Slayton. You come in and you do exactly what we don't want you to do. And let's be honest, that was his MO in college too. That's one of the reasons why he was drafted low was he dropped the football a lot. And people are like, you can correct it, but here we are. Richie James, again, he was signed by this regime, but he was mostly supposed to be a punt returner. A guy to come in and make a few catches here and there. He's our leading receiver. The best guy we got on this team is 26. And what this team is going to do going forward with these injuries is they need to max protect, do 12 personnel, and just give it to 2-6. Because once they got away from doing that in the Bears game, the Bears kind of started to come back in, and they were like, let's give back to our best player on the field to end this game.
Let's give our respect to that left tackle we have at that position, number 78, Andrew Thomas. That dude is a effing monster, what he does out there. Game. Oh, my God, is he good. All pro right now so far, the way he's played. Andrew Thomas has been unbelievable.
Overall, the offensive line played well today overall in general. I mean, it definitely.
Well, that Bears defense wasn't great, but, they did what they had to do.
I mean, they were overall pretty decent. I mean, Roquan Smith, he made a few plays here and there, but pretty limited, kept him under control.
Lewinsky looked lost at times on the offensive line. I don't know what the hell he was doing at times out there. But, the offensive line was good, Max.
I don't know if these guys they signed are as great as we thought they were. There's a reason why Indianapolis didn't go hard after Lewinsky, and now I think we're starting to see why. And I think we had to pay him because he was the best of a bad group. I'm not saying like Nate Solder, because Nate Solder we overpaid we just overpaid. He was the one on the market, and we were like going to spend big anyways, so we were desperate. Galowinski was kind of like, we don't have that much money, but we're going to put a lot of money into this guy because at least he's adequate, right? And right now, you can see what's happening. It happened with Andrew Thomas. The communication's not there. They haven't played together yet, and he's a rookie. He's trying to try to cover up for the rookie a little bit because Evan Neal has struggled, and now that he's banged up, Joe Feliciano's got a banged up leg. This guy's got a little banged up. It's like
Lewinsky's got the ankle right now. Bredesen actually didn't have a bad game. I thought Bredesen was pretty solid over there on the left side next to Thomas. I thought the left side of the offensive line was probably our strength right now.
Even Feliciano had a pretty decent game.
Yeah, he had some nice
Evan
blocks.
Neal, the only one, like you guys are saying, who really is kind of questionable today is Glowinski. And, if you want to say he's a C+, barely B-, okay, I can roll with that. If you said B-, I'm not going to fight you down about it. But, everyone else is, B to, maybe an A, somewhere in that range. So.
Right. I mean, they did a good job. I mean, when you run for 200 yards in a game, that means you've done a good job. You've done the best job. And this team has been a good run team because of 26 and Daniel occasionally with his legs. I think, again, we'll figure out when this report comes out and they do more. Let's hope he doesn't have to get a second opinion because that's not always great news. But let's see what they do. Right. He said it hurt on the podium.
Passing numbers, is Barkley's rushing numbers like doubled of Daniel Jones' passing numbers right now?
Damn near close. I mean, Daniel had like 71 yards passing, which is, it's hard. It's hard for me to keep a straight face when I talk about that guy's passing numbers because in a league where you can, basically burp 200 yards, it's just funny to see a guy have 171 yards. I'm just saying, like Fields had a couple. It felt like the second half it was Fields versus Jones in terms of who could get the best running lanes because the passing game wasn't really worried about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I told you, it was like those two is just weird with those two guys, man. Earlier, like I said, it's like you just flip flop with their production for the season today. Like today, Fields' stat line looked more like a Daniel Jones stat line, and Jones' stat line looked more like a Justin Fields stat line. It was
exactly. Incredible.
It was just weird.
And it's like one of those things where like we know the Bears aren't as good as they as the record indicates, but they played hard. But it's like, man. Like they hit a deep pass, and you're like, this is the hang around game that if they had a better quarterback play, that they might have lost, but they didn't, right? Because we had Justin Fields in that offense, and the defense has some timely pressures sometimes, and they do not give up their water. That's the one thing I love about the defense is they play hard. I'm gonna say this to Jahad Ward. I apologize. I called you a bum. You're not really a bum. You are a solid player. So good for you for proving me wrong, which I love when a player proves me wrong because I don't care about looking like a jackass. What I see on tape is what I see on tape, and what I see in your production is what I see in your production. And so far, he's come in and been kind of the energy or the lifeblood of this defense. Every time he gets a big edge play, he gets up, does a little, whatever that dance is, that robotic dance or that putting on his hat or whatever he's doing, kind of gets the team fired up. So I kind of like that. I want to apologize for Jahad Ward. I called you a player that I didn't know much about. You didn't have that much production. You're playing lights out, keeping the defense where it needs to be.
Well, Coach actually was making a great point about it too when he was talking about when it comes to an outside linebacker and being able to tackle right near the shoulder. For the defensive player. Coach was actually talking about that, and he was right. That's what Jahad Ward was doing, especially on a couple of those outside plays.
It's called attacking the top shoulder on the pass rush. In other words, if a quarterback is dropping back and you're behind him and he's a right-handed quarterback and you see his backside, you want to attack his right shoulder. Too many times I see defensive ends go for either the middle of the back or the front shoulder, and that's why you see, like today, Justin Fields, what did he do? He spun out and got around guys, where if you attack the top shoulder, guess what that does? If he spins out, he's spinning out right into your hands. And if anything, he's going to step up, which is what you want to do, because worst case scenario, he goes right into your help. So Vance. So yeah, but and again, I know, we're talking about Kayvon. That comes with experience too, because in college he can use his athletic ability to
Right.
really.
He's one of the best players on the field.
Exactly. But now you're in the pros, and honestly, everyone's game is that elite. So you have to now you have to be very technical and know how to take the right angles and how to attack and study your opposition. What do they like to do? Justin Fields, he likes that spin out. He does, because he knows a lot of defensive ends are undisciplined and he can get away with that with his legs. What if you attack top shoulder and smack him around a little bit? Guess what he doesn't do? He doesn't do that. So,
well, he's a sound player. He reminds me of a solid old Sam linebacker. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh, I love watching Aaron Rodgers get pissed. He's been shaking his head the entire game. He just threw a pick six to Jones out there on the outside, and the Packers are losing right now. Their offense looks terrible.
Well, I mean, let's not study this. Study the tape. What are they? How are they playing? How are their guys playing? But don't think that they're going to blow us out, and don't think that we're going to go in there into England and blow them out.
Well, you never know. They might match up better against us since we have no receivers, right? So it's a week-to-week league. I'm sure they're gonna. I mean, like Coach said, I don't trust our offense against a good defense. We've beaten against good defenses. We haven't had much success in terms of doing a lot of things offensively. Like look at the Titans game. We gave up 5 sacks, but we kept Barkley kept us in that game. Against the Panthers, we were good. We kept it close, but their quarterback kept us in the game. Against the Cowboys, good defense changed the whole complexion of the game because we weren't forcing turnovers on our end, and they were forcing turnovers on their end and executing when they had to. And in this game, it comes down to 2 turnovers, right? They had one fumble by Justin Fields and the muff punt. Those are two different in the game right there because they were driving in that fumble with Justin Fields. They were inside the 30-yard line, going to get some points, right? Going to get some points, and they threw it and he fumbled. They got the ball, so that's 3 points at least taken off the board right there. So we got to just look at that and make sure that we can't criticize anybody else's offense just because our offense can't move for crap.
Yeah, our offense is probably, if it wasn't for Saquon Barkley, we probably have easily one of the worst offenses. We probably still have one of the worst offenses in the league. Barkley's just making it look respectable right now, and Daniel Jones at times rushing the football.
I love that guy Barkley, not Daniel Jones, but I love that guy Barkley.
As far as
he's like my dad said. My dad used to say he loved watching Tiki Barber because he was a player you couldn't leave your seat for, and that's what Barkley is becoming in this offense. Is I can't leave my seat on the offense, even though the offense is kind of boring. You never know when 2-6 is going to break something, or make a man miss and go up the sideline.
Never know when 8's going to break something.
That screenplay, man, that was a busted play. That play should have been a big major loss. Saquon Barkley turned that into a spectacular play, man. And that's how special number 26 is for this offense, man, for this team. And it's good to see him back out there healthy, man. It really is.
Absolutely. He's the game changer on this offense, and he's the reason why this offense could be, it could be somewhat formidable if we ever get some wide receivers in here that can A, stay on the field, and B, make some plays. But
what I want to see is those guys, those last couple of years that's been, I'm sorry, Jeff, the last couple of years that's been absolutely just that. The guys that were just, we got to get rid of Barkley. He's a bust. We got to trade him for whatever we can get. Just get. Some people wanted to just get rid of him for like a 3rd, 4th round picks and stuff like that. Are you kidding me?
There's some people that want to trade Andrew Thomas. There's actually some fans out there that want to trade our left tackle, who's a stud right now. That's nuts.
That's ridiculous. That
is way out there. If you want to
anybody that wants to do that is absolutely ridiculous.
See, I could see Barkley more than the Andrew Thomas thing because Barkley, I go all right, fine, I can find another play. I can find another back. It may not be as good, but I can find another back, right? You're not going to find another left tackle. I mean, look at around the league, my friend. There are bereft of left tackles for a reason. And I'm tired. Put this to bed now. Andrew Thomas was the best tackle taken in 2020, hands down, bar none, period. Okay?
Oh, easily.
I don't want to hear it. We heard about Tristan Wirfs, but guess what? He went with Tom Brady in a team that was already good. He had a chance
He's a right
to be
tackle.
Right.
Playing right tackle
too.
also.
Exactly. He's not playing on the money making side. So we got the best money maker there is, and all the dude does is go about his business. No rah rah. You don't hear about him much. He's a very quiet guy. Loves to play the cello. The type of guy that you would go is an unsung hero of this team. You know what I mean? And we need to start respecting him like that. The NFL needs to, I don't want a Pro Bowl. I want a first team All Pro for this guy. First team All Pro. Start to build that resume. Start to build, because right now he's one of the best tackles in the league, and he has the talent. If he keeps it going, he's going to have his bust in Canton if he keeps it going like this. Okay.
When was the last time we've had an offensive lineman that's been this good? I mean, really this good.
I don't know if they've been that good, but they've had like the Suburbanites who are a good unit together, right? And some good guys like that.
1950s.
Oh my lord.
1960s. Wait a minute, I'm trying to remember. What's his
Snead
name?
was good. I mean,
You talking about an individual?
You're talking about Robostelli?
Individual offensive lineman, yes. Nobody this good.
You said.
Well, didn't we have Willie Robertson? Willie Robinson?
He wasn't this good. He wasn't this good. He was good. Don't get me wrong. He said All Pro, first team All Pro. What's his name? Who was it? He went into the Hall of Fame as a tackle.
Not Roosevelt Brown, are you talking about?
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, Lomas Brown?
No, Roosevelt Brown.
Roosevelt Brown. No, not Lomas. Lomas was solid too.
Lomas is up for the Hall of Fame, but he's not a Hall of Famer like Roosevelt Brown. Roosevelt Brown changed the tackle game.
Yes. He changed the tackle game in an era where the tackle was not as considered as elite as it is right now. So if you're saying, I mean, I'm sitting here trying to go through thinking, I'm like, in the 80s? No.
They had a unit that was good. They're not like all pro unit though.
Yeah, you had Jumbo Elliott, who was left tackle. And then you had
Deal, Snead, McKenzie, O'Hara.
Again, not all pro. They're just good players.
Snead was really good when he was healthy.
I think Snead was really good. I think Snead was really good. That's my guy. I like the Snead.
All right, fine. I'll give you him. He was borderline Hall of Famer. I'll give that to you.
He's nominated this year for the Hall of Fame.
But is he Snead as a first team All Pro? That's the question? That's what you said, Jeff, right?
I think he was. I think he might have been.
No, I said the first team All Pro.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I know I heard that. So.
No, I'm saying he needs to be a first team All Pro. He shut down everybody. He shut down everybody so far. I don't want to hear about second team, third team. He better not get snubbed because he plays for New York. Because I know we don't like Gettleman, but Gettleman's guys are getting bad reputations. I don't like Gettleman like the next guy, but he brought in two guys that should be on this team a long time. He brought in Andrew Thomas and he brought in Xavier McKinney. Both guys playing lights out this year. We don't hear about them because they're doing so well. The problem with McKinney is he's doing so well they're not throwing him the football, right? They're not throwing the football his way. So we can't do – and he's being asked to do a lot of different things in this defense than he was in the other defense where he could roam a little bit more. Right? Dexter Lawrence, another Dave Gettleman guy. We're starting to see the fruits of his labor come to fruition. And I know that people don't want to talk about linemen, and Gettleman struck out a lot, right? But the one thing he hit a grand slam on was number 78.
Mm-hmm. And he probably hit another grand slam with number 29 in the secondary because Xavier McKinney right now is a guy that nobody wants to throw that ball anywhere near.
Oh, and if we like Barkley, he's also one of the guys that Gettleman brought in too. Just saying.
No, you're right.
There are guys in free agency and drafts that he brought in that we can talk about.
Graham Gano.
Graham Gano. I mean, yes, for all his detractions, there are a few. Right. I'm not talking about a long list.
Leonard Williams.
No.
I'm not talking about he did bring in Leonard Williams, but that was what met with much controversy. I think a lot of his moves were hated on because of him, right? Daniel Jones got booed out the building, not because they don't like Daniel Jones, because they don't like Dave Gettleman. So they're booing Dave Gettleman because they're like, why'd you pick a quarterback who, at that time the consensus he wasn't a first overall top 10 pick, right? Yeah. So here we are. That's why I got booed at Giants Stadium in here, because people hated Gettleman. All of a sudden, Gettleman's out the building. John Mara brings in a new coach. Now Daniel Jones is like Mother Teresa. Like, oh my God, let's write. It's just a different perspective when you bring a guy in from that, right? Gettleman walks out there. He's all like, hey, I know more than everybody else. Joe Shane walks out there, and he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, man. Like, you think that he's a nice guy, but he'll cut you in a heartbeat. He'll say, oh, sorry, you're not part of this team. See ya.
Hey,
so
business is business. I don't care if it's the NFL. I don't care if it's a Fortune 500 company. I don't care if it's a local mom and pop. Business is business. It's about the bottom line in the end. The guys got to go out there and produce. Daniel Jones, for all his detraction, I've been one that says, look, give the kid a chance because he hasn't legitimately had consistent blocking. All right. And the one person that, I was thinking about and comparing it to, and it was Jalen Hurts. I heard the same exact thing about Jalen Hurts. He's not a quarterback. He can't produce. And what is he doing this year? And what did they do? They gave him talent. So for everything that we're saying about Daniel Jones, the same thing, and my brother's an Eagles fan, and he and I talk about this all the time, the same exact thing that people were saying about Jalen Hurts. But the second that team gives him talent, now he's, he's, on par possibly to being the league's MVP if he continues to play the way he is. So,
well, I hear you on that.
Okay.
I hear you on that. I hear you on that, but I think that with Daniel, I think they've done so much to not help him that it's time for him to get out of here and get a situation where he can go to a place where he doesn't have to be the guy to lean on. Just give him a chance, because to me, it's like you can't pay him $30 million now, and he's not going to want to command that. He's not going to not ask for that, because guess what? He's going to go over the laundry list of players and teams that he's been a part of and say, I took a beating for you. There's no way I'm taking a Mitchell Trubisky type deal. You're going to either franchise me or you're going to sign me to,
Hold on a minute. There's one thing, though. There's one thing about Daniel Jones, and I get that, but what does the market say for him? Because if somebody else is going to give him $30 million, okay.
Well, the market is. I'm just telling you, the franchise tag is $30 million.
No. I know the franchise tag. What I'm saying is, if you're going to offer him a contract and he's going to say, I want $30 million, and Shane says, go ahead, go see what's out there for you, and he doesn't get it, then what? Do you think that somebody else is going to give him $30 million? You just said, go somewhere else and be a backup or start fresh or whatever. They're not going to give him $30 million.
Oh, no, I know they're not going to give him $30 million, but I also believe that it's time to move on from a guy right here. Let him get his chance somewhere else, just because at what point are we going to turn it around, right? We're already in a rebuild right now. We're bereft of talent. There's not going to be a lot of guys coming in next year. We're losing a lot of guys next year. Look at that roster, coach. A lot of guys got 2023 on their contract. So we're going to be signing a lot of players. So I'm not saying I hate the guy, let's get rid of him after this. All I'm saying is, like, one of the things that Jeff and I talked about this year is, what is Jones consistently good at? One of those things is consistently getting injured. And again, unfortunately, for him, he can't do anything about a tackle, but this is his MO. Every year he's been hurt of some capacity.
Adam, sorry. I have to address this. Almighty finesse, bro. Respect, bro. But this is what, the third time you posted this?
He does it all the time.
Lamar Jackson, even if he want, here's the thing. Understand something. Even if he wanted to come here, the Baltimore Ravens are not going to let him go. Why? Worst case scenario, they're going to franchise tag him, and he's stuck to Baltimore. So let it go. You may want him. We all can sit here and say, we want to see him come here. I'm not stupid. I wouldn't want to see him come here. But let's be realistic also. Lamar is not coming here because Baltimore is not going to franchise him. And the only way we can get him is if we're going to give up multiple first-round draft picks, 2 to 3.
Here I will counter that with only one thing, right? If you're going to give up multiple picks in the draft anyways for a quarterback, why not give up multiple picks for a guy in Lamar Jackson? Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying that my thought process is, all right, well, if I'm going to give up 2 first-round picks anyways, well, I already got a proven guy that is one of the best in the NFL. So I will give up those picks knowing that I can have Lamar Jackson in my back pocket.
Yes, that's what I said. You're going to have to give up multiple. That's my point.
Right. And all I'm saying is, like, but if you're like, let's say the Giants are in the mix, right, to get one of these quarterbacks, right, and they want to trade up, it's going to take a couple picks anyways, first rounders, to move up. So my thing is, if I'm going to expend those first rounders on a guy who's not proven in the NFL, why not just get a guy who is proven?
No, I'm not saying that. Yes, you're right. You're right. Yes, you're 1,000% right. That's my point. Yes, if you're going to do that. But my point to Almighty Finesse is,
he's not coming here.
Franchise tag, he can't say he doesn't want to come here or he's going to sit out the season. That's all they have to do, because once they tag him, basically he's said he has to negotiate with them or sit out the season, or a team comes in and trades for him, and you go with a franchise tag. Don't you have to automatically give up 2 first rounders?
I think
I
it's 2
believe so.
first
Yeah.
rounders at the
Something
bare
like
minimum.
that.
Yeah, you're gonna have.
I'm convinced though. I'm convinced that Joe Shane, Brian Dable want to bring their own guy in here. Period. I don't think. I think that's what the direction they want to go in.
And after today's
Lamar
injury,
Jackson.
it's harder not to think that they would want to do that. It gives them an easy excuse when evaluating if he misses more than 2 games.
I mean, it's a high ankle sprain. He might miss like 3, 4, 5 weeks, depending on how severe that high ankle sprain is.
Well, if it is a high ankle sprain, I don't know. You're hearing a little bit more than I am. If it is a high ankle sprain, then he's in trouble to miss. He's probably going to miss 3 games, and the 3 most important games of the season is when we need him right now, right? So. As much as I brag on Daniel Jones, he's the best quarterback on our team. May not be the best quarterback in the NFL, but he's the best quarterback on our team. And, I will admit that. I know people they know my history. I don't want to say I'm a negative hater. I'm just a guy who's seen enough.
You're a hater, Adam. You're a hater.
I know I've seen enough to know that he's not my guy going forward. And I know that. And I've seen enough where no matter what, you can tell me, oh, well, we can give him this, give him that. There's a throw to Kenny Galladay in the second quarter or whatever, where he literally needs to make that throw for that drive to continue.
It's just the fact he doesn't trust Galladay. He doesn't trust that Galladay's
No. It wasn't even that. Galladay ran a great route. He was open. He was open on the route. It's a throw you need to make if you're a big time NFL quarterback in a game where you may have to play a team that might be a little better than you, and those throws are going to have to count. They don't count now because of the teams that we're playing, right? We're playing teams within our weight class. We play teams like Green Bay, who right now is on the ropes with New England, who has a better quarterback, who might move the needle when there's a quick turnaround on a defensive fumble or something like that. Those are the things we're going to need to work on. So I'm not trying to nitpick. All I'm saying is that's what I mean in terms of what I've seen. Coach has a better eye for talent, and he could say, Adam, you're completely wrong. He's the next Joe Montana, and that's fine, But
I'm not going to say that.
Joe Montana is one of my favorites. It goes Joe Montana, then Peyton Manning are my 2 top guys of all time. Those guys, and then I love Eli, so I just bring him along for the ride. So if it's a car for 4 adults, those are the 3 quarterbacks I'm bringing, plus myself, the chauffeur. So
Iron Man, and how great would it be if everybody was always saying how great it is to have Eli Manning out there, because what was the big reason? He played every single football game on the field, even when he got hurt. Remember he had that shoulder injury that one year where he got his shoulder messed up, and what did he do? He went right back on the field. He had the ankle injury. He got back on the field. He had the Liz Frank injury in his foot, and he still went back out there. Or when he got his face busted open on that one play during preseason, what did Eli Manning always do? He was on the football field, and everybody kind of forgets about that because of the fact that Eli Manning was a true Iron Man. If it wasn't for idiotic Ben McAdoo that had a vendetta to sit him, Eli Manning's streak would have been – we don't even know how much longer. So we have to, embrace how – great Eli Manning was because of the fact he played. And Daniel Jones already is the other end of the spectrum.
I want to say one thing about that benching. I don't necessarily wasn't as mad about the benching. I was mad that you put Geno Smith in. That's what my problem was. Had nothing to do with benching Eli Manning. It was like you put in Geno Smith we have a 3rd round pick on the roster. The guy that we're might be relying on this year in Davis Webb, you didn't even give him a chance. So I think that's what really hurt him. If McAdoo went, hey man, we're going to play Davis Webb, I think Eli Manning would have been ushered out the door a lot sooner. And I hate to say that because the backlash would have been understandable, even if the kid sucked. You're like, all right, you're giving the kid a chance. You put in Geno Smith.
No. It would have made sense. Like you said, it would have made more sense. You want to take a look at Davis Webb, the draft pick from that. He was a rookie that year. The guy you drafted like a 3rd round pick on or whatever.
Right.
That's one thing. But you like you said, you benched him to play Geno Smith. Talking about I want to see what Geno Smith has. You know what Geno Smith has.
Watch the Jets. Watch the Jets, and you'll see what Geno Smith can do.
But that's what I mean in terms of I don't think he had the wrong idea. I just think he had the wrong guy that he was putting in. You know what I'm saying? It was like Dave Gettleman. He drafted 3 linemen in 2020. It wasn't it was a bad idea. It was the players that ended up stinking, right? Shane Lemieux has been off and on the field. Matt Pert, he's still missing on a milk box somewhere. And you got Andrew Thomas, who's the gem of all gems, which kind of makes the whole draft go because he drafted McKinney and Thomas in the same draft. So that 2020 draft is looking good. All I'm saying is I don't agree with Geno Smith, but I understand why he made the move. And like Jeff said, here we are with a quarterback who's been here 4 years, injured every 4 years. What did we say at the beginning of the year? What is Daniel Jones good at? Good at being consistently inconsistent. We saw that the first 2 games. And he always gets injured. We saw that again this season. And, it's getting to the point where it gets annoying where I'm like, every year we got to talk about this guy being injured. And, it's unfortunate he might have a bad ankle sprain. Again, I'm not saying anything. Jeff, you think it might be a high ankle sprain? If it is a high ankle sprain, well, guess what? We're going to be in trouble. That's all I have to say about that.
It's just the fact that when he was out there, you could tell he was moving a little bit, but you have to remember he's probably running on adrenaline at that point, and it really hasn't had a chance to, start to swell up and get stiff. Pause. But I mean, just saying, when you just stop playing in the middle of the game and you haven't given a little bit of time and you're not doing anything, that's when that ankle is going to start acting up. And it said Daniel Jones even said he said it was bothering him a whole lot. It was hurting a lot when he went back on the field and he could not move. I mean, when he was out there trying to move, he was like pushing as hard as possible just to be able to hand the ball off. I mean, you could tell his lateral movement was just not there. So if he has a low ankle sprain, I'd be surprised. I would not be shocked if it's a high ankle sprain. And hopefully he did not tear any ligaments or anything or have a little bit of an ankle break or anything, because you never know what the MRI could pop up with. You never know.
I mean, it's like I said, I'm no medical expert. I just never seen a guy. Usually, most times when I see guys go down with the high ankle sprain, I don't see them being even as mobile as he still was. Now, granted, he couldn't do anything, but like I said, we watched Saquon Barkley with that high ankle sprain, had to hobble off the field, bouncing off the field on one leg. He couldn't even put weight down to stand on that leg.
But again, it's different. It's a different circumstance.
It's a different player too. There's a lot of guys that pop their ACLs that go out there and walk.
But I was just saying, him, even when he was looking like potentially he was going to come back in before they put Tyrod in, the running on the sideline. I just don't see usually guys with high ankle sprains doing that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying,
but it didn't do anything, because I think it made it worse by running on the field trying it out, because guess what? He ended up not playing effectively the rest of the game. And that wrap, if they're going to have to wrap it up, I don't want you to be a gutty performance. Dan Marino, one of the reasons it was tough for him, because every week you saw that guy, his ankles were taped up to his knees. You know what I mean? And it didn't help him in his mobility. And what is Jones' best attribute right now? It's not his passing with 71 yards this past game. It's his mobility. So for me, I don't want to take away Daniel Jones and put him out there when one of his best arsenals is not there. That's like playing with not a good deck of cards. You're just going to sell yourself short just so you can.
Oh crap! We just lost him. He was talking about Daniel Jones, and the Daniel Jones people out there told him, "Get the hell out of here! Don't make fun of our."
I agree with that. I agree with
him though too.
I mean, obviously, that's a big key to Daniel Jones' game. If he can't move, he can't run, then that's going to definitely affect him big time. Because, like I said, the offensive line did play well today, but at the same time, Green Bay has a very formidable front.
Mark Pro reports Tyrod Taylor is in concussion protocol.
Oh, wow.
And Jeff Zebrek, Marcus Peters is screaming in frustration as he leaves the field. Peters is trying to get in Harbaugh's face. They just got separated. Peters threw his helmet. I did not hear that.
Oh, wow.
Did any of you guys hear that?
No, that was the first I heard it. Marcus Peters, the cornerback there. Wow.
Well, that's because they wanted him to go for the field goal to tie the game, and they went for a touchdown, and they gave them 4 minutes to go, and Buffalo won the game by a field goal. So I understand the frustrations. Marcus Peters is a hothead, but I would probably be in his position too, a hothead as well, being like, yo, why are you doing this? You just cost us a football game.
I love football. I miss this kind of stuff when
Guys,
people go nuts on the outside.
it's that time. We got maybe you guys want to give some final thoughts as we get ready to wrap this thing up, man. I got to get ready to get some dinner in my belly, man.
We are not getting Marcus Peters. Stop it, Almighty. Please stop. We're not acquired. You know what? Why don't we just trade for everybody out there? Anybody that wants to come to the Giants, come on in. We'll take you all. Josh Allen, come on in. Jonathan Taylor, he hurt himself, but he could come in. Derrick Henry. Everybody come to the Giants. Let's go. Everybody become Giants. Stop, please, Almighty. We love you, man. You're a great supporter of all of us.
Hey, are we playing Madden or are we really playing NFL football here? Because it sounds like we go on NFL Madden. We're just going to make a fantasy team and have it on franchise mode, and away we go. Everyone's at 99.
Almighty, just tell us F the Nets, okay? That's what you like. Just tell us to F the Nets. That's what they like to say all the time to the Nets fans. But yeah.
Wrap it up.
You guys want to share some final thoughts on today's game, man, so we can wrap it up and get out of here.
Hey, we're 3-1. We're still at the top. Green Bay is up next. So as Bill Belichick would say, on to Green Bay.
Basically, I'm with you on that one. On to Green Bay. Enjoy the win tonight, everyone. You know, that's one thing I always say. 24 hours. Enjoy your win. Tomorrow, back to work mentally. Let's focus on, like Adam said, on to Green Bay. And that's really it. And let's hope and pray, guys, get healthy.
And Coach, you said it right there. We have to be excited about the 3-1 record right now. We haven't been that since 2016. So let's enjoy the victory right now. Tomorrow, probably the next day or two, we'll find out how a lot of these guys are going to be in terms of their status moving forward. I would not be surprised if we're going to be missing some of these guys for the next couple of weeks. But let's just hope for the best, and then we'll get ready for the Green Bay Packers. And we'll just all sit here and watch the Packers play. We'll scout our next opponent in the meantime.
Absolutely, man. 3-1 feels good, especially after 3-1. I mean, it just 3-1. I mean, fixing my mouth to say 3-1. I'm talking about the New York Football Giants. It just feels great, and I'm going to enjoy this one for another week. Another victory Monday upon us tomorrow. Got a lot of guys hitting that training room. Hopefully, we can get some good news on some of their statuses. But we'll find that out and get ready to take that trip out to London, man, and see what happens. Like I said, like I was telling Adam, man, weird things happen in London, man. So expect the unexpected sometimes over there across the pond, man. And we'll see what happens, man. Next week, hey, every game is winnable as far as I'm concerned anyway. So next week is no different, man. Next week is no different. I know the competition is going to be up a notch from this week, big time. Up a big notch, obviously. But we can get it done, man. We go out there, stay focused, and maybe we can get it done, especially if we get some good news from some of these intros, man. I want to thank you guys for coming out, man. Jeff, Adam, Coach Ed, man. Y'all made this show live, man. Great insight from everybody, man, on this panel, man. Everybody out there, please sub up to these guys, man. All of them, man, doing great work out here for the New York Giants community, man. On YouTube, Twitter, wherever, everywhere else you can find them, man. Really appreciate everybody in the chat. Been good, man. It's been fun. Enjoy another week 4 victory for the New York Football Giants, man. 3-1, and we up out of here, man. Peace. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MACDA Giants Fan.